Hey, folks, it's your buddy Myron from the Tap Tap Wrestling Podcast. Learned something new last weekend at the Mason Wrestling Show up there in Royston, and I wanted to talk to Jonathan Feltner. He is the business liaison, the manager at Squared Circle Action, the man who is up there at the Royston Dome making things happen. Jonathan Feltner, could you please tell me how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Tio.
Oh,
Doing good
good.
for a Thursday, nice
Excellent.
spring day. I do
Excellent.
appreciate you having me on here. It's
Oh,
really cool.
I'm
Really good to be here.
excited. I'm excited. I can't wait to hear a lot of stuff. I'm excited. The Royston Dome. It's nice to have a named arena again in Georgia.
It is. It is one of those things where a lot of work has already went into making the Royston Dome what it is. And just last Saturday, you alluded to the Mason Wrestling Federation show. I feel like that was a big step, and it kind of solidified the work that's went into what we've been trying to do. And it was a really good feeling to see everybody come together and have that show for young Mason, but just everything that went into it and what was established for the future. We're really excited, and we're blessed.
Oh, definitely. I think it really attracted a lot of eyes, a lot of people. It was my first trip to Royston. Never had been there before. I ran to Brett Wolverton, who I rarely ever get to see, and I just probably aggravated the death out of the guy. Asking him questions, telling him stories like my kids did when they were little.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let me tell you this. Hey, let me tell you this. Because it's fascinating to get around somebody like that, and the audience was so into it, man, and the venue was so cool. Where did y'all find this venue?
Well, the venue, it's been there for a long time. Formerly Alternative Pro Wrestling in Royston, and to kind of, I'm sure, by now everybody kind of has an idea of the ownership changing hands back in, the summer of 2023. And it was one of those things where stuff had to change, parts had to move. And whenever I was approached with the option, or I guess to be able to come along and help, I was very honored, but I was still scared at the same time, because whenever stuff like that happens and you kind of put yourself out there to try to help people and try to reestablish something, and not only reestablishing, wrestling in a building, but you're having to, kind of reestablish people's trust.
Yeah.
And not only trust in us as individuals, but trust in a product that, people can get back behind and work with. And I feel like the first 2 months, there was a lot of moving around. We had to get papers moved and all the stuff that people don't really, look at when you start a wrestling company or a business or any type of business. There's paperwork and there's phone calls that have to be made. There's emails that have to be sent. And it was a lot of work. But now we're Squared Circle Action, and we're trucking right along, trying to.
That's good, man. I'm not always what I would say a fair person to evaluate your wrestling promotion or your wrestling show, your venue. My friend Ted was sitting behind me. First time he had been to Royston. Did not come with me. Just showed up. I didn't know he was going. Ted's just a wrestling fan. Ted, I see Ted at shows. Ted lives in the area I live in, and he was like, "Oh, this is cool. I like this." He sat up in the bleachers with me. His comfortable seats, great views. Things were handled really well. When the doors opened, you walked in, you paid, everything started. The concession stand ran well. I didn't have any complaints at all. Ted wasn't bitching about anything. Where did you get your staff from? I mean, those people seemed like they knew what they were doing.
Well, a lot of the staff that we got there, they were either directly involved with the previous organization, or they were people that we were able just to kind of get and who had a passion to help the new place. We tried to, make sure that our staff's very attentive, whether it's like you said, the concessions or security. I mean, people that, try to help with the parking. We did kind of have an issue with the parking, but I kind of expected that because just from what I'd heard through the grapevine and the seats that we had to reserve, kind of had a feeling we was going to have issues with parking. But, that was one of those all hands on decks approaches. I was out there trying to make sure that cars got, to where they had to go. I mean, you probably didn't see me much all night. I was running around like a chicken with
Well,
my head
what I
cut
did
off,
see of you was you were running around nonstop, except for the time you got into the ring with
Yeah, that was
Pops.
yes. That was the only time that I really stopped. And
Yes.
by then I'd probably already logged about 18,000 steps.
And I had several people say, "Hey, Myron, you need to come out and see this. Hey, Myron, you need to come out and see this." There's a big surprise, and outside of the wonderful show, the surprise people were talking about was Anarchy is going to run in the Dome once a month now.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was a huge announcement. Whenever we were approached with that, myself and the panel of investors, the owners of the company, we were approached with that earlier that same week, and we came to an agreement. And honestly, it was a no brainer for us and the Royston Dome because one, it's a promotion that has never ran in that building.
Yeah.
And two, there's a lot of clout and a lot of history that comes with Anarchy Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the oldest standing promotions, if not the oldest in the state.
Yeah.
So it brings a lot of fan base and it brings a lot of new eyes to Royston. I think it's going to be good for the community. I think it's going to be good for everybody. So we were very happy that they approached us with that because it shows that we're doing something right.
Oh,
and
definitely.
That's what we wanted when we first started this. We wanted to be able to not just be a show, but we wanted to try to, be a presence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, have people, I wouldn't say necessarily take us seriously, but know that we're doing the best we can to put our foot forward and work and put in good quality work and help guys. And we're just trying to, help everybody and help ourselves and bring some good back to wrestling because I think that it's Georgia wrestling deserves that. It deserves people that are in it for the right reasons.
Yes, positivity is something Georgia wrestling cannot have enough of. I'm super excited to see the Georgia Outlaw Wrestling promotion gearing up. The home crowd of wrestlers in this area of Royston and that part of Georgia is so rich. I mean, you have a wealth of talent up there. Man.
We really do. And that was something that whenever we were first gearing this back up, we wasn't sure, because of the way things ended with the previous organization, we weren't really sure who would be willing to come back and try to give us a shot, try to say, hey, look, we understand that things didn't end, under the best of terms, but we would like for you to try to come back and try to help us build something. And honestly, we've had a good response. We've had people that want to come work, that enjoy coming to work for us. And we're at a position where we almost have to turn workers away because we just can't accommodate them on the guard.
Yep.
But we did the best we can to try to, to use everybody and use them in a manner that is beneficial to not only us but to them as well, to help them along in their careers.
Yep. I think it's a wonderful thing you got going on up there. And the good part about it for me is, yes, it's probably an hour and 20 minutes from my house, but so is just about every other promotion. Every other promotion's maybe an hour, but they're back roads, and y'all are just up 985 for me. And especially if people are coming from Atlanta or any other place like that, they can get on the interstate and get up there quicker. It's not that far when you think about it.
It's not. I mean, we've got guys that travel, inside of an hour, right outside of an hour. But the fact that they're willing to do that to come and work with us, to me, that's a tremendous accomplishment that they believe in coming to work and to use that place to hone their craft.
Yeah.
And another thing that we've got going on now that we've been able to start, I want to say it started at the beginning of last month. We've implemented training for younger guys that want to be able to come in. training nights are on Tuesdays from 6 to 8.
Uh-huh.
We have host trainers. We got guys that come in every now and then to try to offer their expertise. So we're trying to do our best to prepare for the future and to help people along the way.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. To have a
Yeah.
place where young wrestlers in North Georgia can hone up and get better and be around the tradition, the rich tradition of wrestling we have in North Georgia. That's phenomenal, man. That's great to hear. Um, I wish there were more places that were able to do stuff like this, but we just have so much to look forward to in North Georgia with this promotion rolling out, like, and all the stuff y'all have got going on. Now, that building, where was that building originally?
The building was originally a gymnasium for a school. It was, I want to say it was the Royston Elementary Gym. Whenever you came in, you'll see the old school, and then you'll see, obviously, the track and the playground. And then that gym was a place where, it was kind of an extension of the Royston Elementary Gym. And then actually some wrestling shows back, I want to say in the 80s and the 90s have ran there. So wrestling's been in that building for a long time. And I think whenever that was one of the reasons why Anarchy reached out to us, because Anarchy is one of those types of promotions. And this is just my opinion. I feel like that it's got so much history, tied to Anarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, Anarchy was built, for history. And, the Landmark Arena, when it was the Church of Southern Wrestling, it was tied to an historically significant building.
Yes.
And I feel like the Royston Dome is going to be able to give Anarchy that flavor again.
Yeah,
it's going to be able to give it that old rugged, character. Yeah. It's going to give it that character feel. And I feel like that's kind of what they were looking for, and we were more than happy to oblige them.
Yeah, I have a family up around Cornelia, and my daughter's in school at Piedmont and Demarest, so I'm around the old Landmark Arena all the time, and I did get hints of that at the Royston Dome. The big wood bleachers, I love the arena bleachers, but those big wood bleachers at the Royston Dome were very comfortable. They were very, very good. Y'all had your ring also permanently attached to the floor, like a wrestling venue. It's a huge gym. Yeah. I mean, y'all could hold a huge audience in there.
I think the most that's been in that building, aside from whenever we tarped off the half court line, and originally that was open and all of the gym space was open, but whenever we got to the layout of this, we kind of wanted to condense it, and kind of cut down on how kids are. Sometimes they'll watch wrestling for a little bit and then they'll run around and they'll try to do what kids do. I mean, they're kids. So that right there to me has cut down a lot of the running around and a lot of the liability.
Yes.
It keeps everybody in, and it adds more of an intimate feel to, I think, the wrestling. So that was a big improvement, I think, for us. And then moving the concession stands, and the building pretty much got a complete overhaul. Whenever we were in the process of building it up, the concession stand got moved over towards the bathrooms, and it's the way that I saw, like in shows like Saturday Night, you can kind of see how the operation works. It to me helps everything run a little bit smoother because they can get in there, get their stuff done, and go sit down and get ready for the show.
Yeah. I didn't see any lines stuck. People bound up at places. The concession stand not going fast enough. Things like that. It seemed like everything ran real smooth. It seemed like a great place to go wrestling. It seemed like a very traditional venue that people in the South tend to value that kind of thing. I liked it a lot. I plan to make it a regular trip up there on Friday nights, and try to catch more wrestling there. I'm going to definitely be Anarchy. And what day is Georgia Outlaw going to be running up there now?
Georgia Outlaw, their debut show there is going to be on April the 21st. That's a Sunday afternoon at 4:30.
Okay, Sunday afternoon right after 4:20. Oh, okay. Yep. That's gonna be a good day for a show. And y'all run the doors at 8:00 on Friday nights.
we open the doors at 7:30, and then the show, barring any kind of disaster, opens up at 8 o'clock. And usually the shows are, we try to get everybody out of there by 10:30, and that includes our intermission, because we like to try to run efficient and as quick as possible. Our bigger shows, that they may tend to run closer to that 11 o'clock hour, and our next actual super card, so to speak, is going to be on April the 12th, and that event's called Pick Poison. And on that night, we're going to be crowning a new SCA champion. The belt vacated, so a new champion is going to be crowned that night.
And how does that work? Are y'all going to have like some kind of competition to compete to get into that?
What we've put on the table for that is a fatal four-way. We've already had 3 of the participants already announced: Stevie Ray Frost, Tower, and Jacob Ashworth. Are already announced for that, and then we're going to actually be picking the 4th in the next week or 2, and then by the time Pick Your Poison rolls around, we'll have our 4 that's going to be in that fatal four-way.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, Scott Mason can't wrestle there anymore, so he can't.
He cannot. No, he cannot wrestle there anymore. He just one of those things where the TPO was issued, and I have to honor that as the business manager type. So yeah, Scott Mason, he can wrestle at other events in that building, but he cannot wrestle on any SCA advertised events.
Oh, man, I really like Scott Mason, so I'll see him at other shows, but it stinks that I'm not going to see him. But getting Jacob Ashworth into that competition, that's going to make a lot of people happy. That man is one of the most popular people in North Georgia. Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
He is like a Dusty Rhodes character, the common man. People identify with him, and people get so excited and happy when he comes out. It's a miracle.
They do. He's just seeing what he has done in his career, and seeing how he's progressed, and he has become that blue collar quintessential, type worker that the fans can get behind and they can emotionally invest in.
Yes.
So being able to have him on board with Squared Circle, that was one of those people that we were like, man, I really hope we can get him. I hope that, he's going to give us a shot. And thankfully he has, and everything's been working out real good. Yeah. He's a good guy.
He's a good old-fashioned butts in the seats kind of guy. He'll put people in the seats to see him work all the time. And I mean, I'm looking at your posters and stuff. You got Lev, who's an NWA guy. That Towers guy, first time I saw him the other night, that dude is huge. I mean,
he's a big.
Good God, you got a lot of people on this roster that are I would pay to see anywhere, and now I get to pay all to see them in the same place. So I mean, that's not bad at all. How much are your tickets for these?
Our tickets for the adults, they run $10, and then we have child's prices. 6 to 12 is $5, and then 5 and under is free.
Well, that's really good. That's really good. And one thing also, I noticed your concession stand prices were pretty good too. Most concession stands are a lot more expensive than what y'all had going on. As just a fat guy who was buying drinks, I noticed.
Yeah,
that.
we try to do our best to keep the concessions reasonably priced, because we want to make sure that we want to make sure that a family of 4 can come in there, on a Friday night and be able to have a good time and not you break the bank, so to speak. We want to make sure that people can come there and enjoy themselves and be able to eat and just have a good time and just enjoy wrestling. That's our goal.
I didn't sample anything besides some candy and a Diet Coke. I don't know why I eat candy and a Diet Coke at the same time, but I guess it's the diabetes. But your next show is this Friday.
This Friday at the 29th, and we're actually going to be having an Easter event there. I think we're going to have an Easter egg hunt for the kids, and then we're going to have some prize eggs, and just we're trying to do like more seasonal type of events, and like back in October we did a whole entire month-long Halloween themed month. It was called Scary Circle Action instead of Squared Circle. Where we had different, like every week we had different things. Like we one week we had a costume contest. One week we had, where the wrestlers came out and they wrestled in their own costumes. And we had Fighter Web, which was a gauntlet style event. And that was where we crowned our first ever champion, which was Jaden Vane. He was the inaugural squared circle action champion. And then another month we were able to, the area that was tarped off, we actually turned that into a haunted house, and we charged people. They could go through and look at a haunted house, during intermission, and then go back and watch wrestling.
See, I like that. That's the thing I didn't realize about a weekly promotion. Y'all can be changing themes all the time. And
and we did the same thing we did for, did Christmas. We done, a Christmas circle action month. We did we were actually able to have a Toys for Tots drive with a local chapter. We raised a bunch of, money for the Toys for Tots. Just trying to do stuff like that in the community. We're actually sponsors for Madison County Baseball for their high school and middle school teams. We entered into sponsorship with them, so they advertise our logo at all their games. So we're definitely looking towards the future. We're trying to establish ourselves and create longevity. What we're trying to do.
That's awesome, man. I'm really, really impressed with what y'all are doing. Tag me anytime y'all got anything to post. Go ahead and tag me in it so I can share it. I'm going to try to get up there every time I get a chance to. I enjoy myself. I appreciate what you're doing. Georgia is going to appreciate what you're doing. And I really appreciate you for coming on. Tell everybody where they can find you again. Give us the address. Give us the dates.
Yes, 305 Cherry Street, Royston, Georgia. The Royston Dome. It is the gym right behind the old elementary school. You can look us up on Facebook. We have a Squared Circle Action Wrestling page. We have a Royston Dome page. Tickets are going to be $10 for adults, $5 for kids, under 5 and under is free. Next show is March 29th, Good Friday, and then our next super event is April the 12th for Pick Your Poison. It's going to be a fans type choice night. We're going to have different types of matches going on. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. Don't forget, Georgia Outlaw Wrestling debuts at the Royston Dome April the 21st, and the return of Anarchy Wrestling is going to be sometime in June. So you want to pay attention to the Royston Dome page, Anarchy's wrestling page, and then our page, and we'll do the best we can to get the announcements out as they come in.
Okie dokie. Well, I will be talking to you later. I appreciate you coming on, man. You have a great day. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.